Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, Ruminations of a TI, Targeted Individual. Shout out to the Economic Ninja for motivating and inspiring me to begin my YouTube journey. My name isn't important, but I think my story may be. Hindsight is 20/20 vision, and looking back, I can see clearly now what was happening then. It was 1988, and I was happily engaged to my soon-to-be husband and ex-husband. We had met around 5 years before at a party he was hosting I had heard about through the grapevine, and that's another story for another day. Anyway, we were engaged and we had been living together in my apartment in downtown Skokie. I was born in Chicago in 1960 on the west side, and my family moved us to Skokie in 1964, where I began kindergarten and made my way through high school. Then I worked my way through college at DePaul University. I had to drop out of law school at DePaul because I was short finances. So I started a career as an executive assistant, and I had my own apartment. It was a great apartment above a video store on the third floor of an old brick building with radiators. On the corner where I lived, there was a church, a funeral home, and a pizza place. And I used to joke that you could do everything on this corner. You could get married and you could get buried all on the same corner. So I really liked the place, and my fiance had his own apartment a few blocks away. But when we got engaged, we decided to share one apartment and save money for our future. So he moved into my pad. My parents had put down a deposit of $500, no small amount back then, for a big wedding celebration at a beautiful venue called the Country Squire. It was an old Sears mansion converted into a banquet hall. A few months later, my fiance's father requested a private lunch with me. So we met for lunch at his favorite place, and I was eager to hear what he had to say. What he was telling me didn't make sense. He said he didn't want his son to get married. I was 28 and his son was 31, but he said his son was not capable of being a good husband and provider, and that he didn't have a good job and he didn't have any stability and he couldn't offer me a good life. I was totally confused. We were engaged and I was madly in love with this guy, and he was definitely the one. I told my soon-to-be father-in-law that love could conquer all, and that I had faith in my fiance and the God above, and we would have a good life together. And he had a video company, and I thought he had a very good future. My father-in-law was not impressed with my words and very disappointed that I did not understand what he was saying and where he was coming from. The lunch ended and we departed our ways. Shortly after that, my fiance told me we had to cancel the wedding that was scheduled for January in 1989 because his father said so. Shortly then, my parents lost their $500 deposit on the banquet hall, and they said after that they won't be making a big wedding party for me. So we rescheduled our wedding for June of 1989 at a Justice of the Peace for immediate family and just to have a luncheon after the ceremony. So my fiance's father had recently remarried a stepmom the year prior. The stepmom said she wouldn't come to the wedding if the real mom was there, who lived in Florida and wanted to come to the wedding, and gave me the wedding dress that I wore. The stepmom said she couldn't come because it would make her uncomfortable. Then, to add insult to injury, the stepmom had her period on our wedding day and she didn't even show up. So the real mom could have come, but she was banned. So we got married even though the red flags were abundant. I just pushed everything down, down, down to where I could try to ignore it. Even my best friend Denise told my parents not to let me marry this fellow. My parents never told me about her warning, but she told me years later. She didn't like it when we had a Halloween party and my fiancé tripped me in front of everybody. He said he was just being funny, but my girlfriend knew it was disrespectful and he was trying to make me feel small and humiliate me, a pattern that would then continue for 25 years. But my parents ignored her warning. They never told me about it. I was the third girl of three girls and the last to get married, so my mom was eager to marry me off so she could be done with her parenting and retire and sell the house and move to Florida. So we got married June 2nd, 1989, and we lived in my apartment in Skokie, and we called it the Skokie Penthouse, and I thought everything was fine until November 24th. It was a Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. I was going to take the laundry across the street, which I had crossed over 100 times to do the wash. There were stop signs to direct the traffic, but no traffic lights. So I stepped into the crosswalk as many times before. I looked all four ways, all clear, and then I proceeded to walk across the street inside the crosswalk, carrying my bag of laundry out over my back. I didn't see or hear the car coming. It came out of nowhere, going full speed, rammed right into me, and sent my body propelling and flying 2 stories up in the air. The high school gymnast in me took over as I flipped and tucked, doing 2 complete flips in the air. After the second flip, I was hanging upside down in suspended animation, and I could see the horrified faces of the driver and the passenger in the car that hit me as I was hanging upside down facing them. And they looked like they were in horror. And his name was Max Cam, and I'll never forget that moment or their faces. So right after that, I landed hard, about a block from the crosswalk, right on my fanny. I opened my eyes and I saw a beautiful pair of black shoes, and I followed the shoes up, the smooth black pants, to the black suit and the man's beautiful face, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I think so." And then he was gone. A crowd of people surrounded me. My fiance came down from the Skokie Penthouse, declaring that he saw everything from the window as he was watching me cross the street. The car stopped 2 blocks up, and the ambulance rushed me to the hospital, and the police came. After almost 100 x-rays, nothing was broken, and I had multiple contusions but was otherwise okay. I went to physical therapy for a year, and I figured my new family and father-in-law would recommend a great attorney for me to handle this case. The attorney was not so great. In fact, the worst. This lawyer asked me 2 years after the accident if I had car insurance at the time and reported the accident to them. I said yes, I had State Farm car insurance, but I didn't think to report the accident because I wasn't in my car. The lawyer said, excuse me. The lawyer said I could have gotten $100,000 if I had reported it, but now it was past the time allowed and required to report an accident. So the lawyer got me the money back to repay the insurance company for the hospital emergency room and the physical therapy, and to pay him. And after that, there was not one single penny left for me for pain and suffering. After realizing the corner was dangerous, I started a campaign to put lights on the corner and painted crosswalks. So we were on the front page of the Skokie newspaper for this effort. And here is a copy of the newspaper. And there we are. Couple pushing for lights at intersection. So, fast forward 12 years to 2001. We get a phone call the morning of October 9th, 2001, from my father-in-law saying that Aunt Verna, our family matriarch, has been killed the evening before in a car crash as a pedestrian crossing a street on none other than Lincoln Avenue in Skokie, just 4 blocks from where I was almost killed. Apparently, she was crossing the street at 7:15 at night. When she was struck, it was dark outside. She wasn't carrying her purse or any identification when she was struck and killed, so she remained a Jane Doe until the next day. And what was she doing out of her place at 7 at night without her purse? No one knows. Here is her death certificate. And it's funny, on the street, you're supposed to put Lincoln, but it says street. And then here's where her address was on Mulford, which was where she lived. But, you know, they never investigated it. There was a newspaper article that I couldn't pull, and it was just an accident and a hit and run. So, is that a coincidence that I was almost killed on the same street where Aunt Verna was killed 12 years apart? I don't believe in coincidences anymore. Why was my fiance watching out the window? Did he know that was going to happen to me? Strangely, Aunt Verna herself in 1997 was driving her car and she killed a pedestrian on none other than Lincoln Avenue, the very same spot where she was killed on the same block. So I couldn't find that newspaper article, but it seems to be, very strange. All these deaths on Lincoln Avenue. Can I sue the driver that hit me in the car? Yes, and I did, but got nothing from it. Can I sue the whole wide world? That's what being a TI is all about. Everyone does you wrong. Are you being severely mistreated, manhandled, gaslit, lied to, abused by everyone everywhere you go? Until I heard of gang stalking and community gang stalking, I didn't understand what was happening to me. I thought I had a tattoo on my forehead that said "screw me," that everyone could see except me. Well, I do have it, and I will try to wear it as a badge of honor. Thanks for watching. More stories to come. Peace out.